Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Steve Van Tassel here for Dynasty Owner. And I'm going to start a new series here. We're sort of in a little bit of not really a dead zone, but just kind of an interesting period in terms of the Dynasty Owner season, where you can be active if you really want to be, but you have to be trading. You're kind of still a little bit under the old last year's salary cap, but looking forward to the new salary cap. So there's some trades you can do, a few pickups, free agent pickups, which you kind of talked about, guys who might be available. But now this week, what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to do a little series, and I'm going to talk about some free agent market values. And this week, we're going to talk about high salary quarterbacks and running backs. And what I'm planning on doing here is providing some look at some players who are going to be free agents. We're not going to talk about guys who've already had their salaries determined, like the Josh Allens of the world. You know, his salary hasn't kicked in yet for Dynasty Owner. It will on March 18th. But you know he's getting 6-year contract extension. It's going to be $43 million a year. You know his contract. You know, like Nick Chubb's new contract. The guys who already have established contracts, you know them. But some guys are going to be free agents, unrestricted free agents mostly. And they're going to have a different market, and they're going to have a market value. And a great place to find those market values is at SpotTrack, SPOTRAC.com. It's run by Mike Giannetti, who's a friend of Dynasty Owner, plays in one of our leagues. And it's a great place to find these out. And I'm using his market values to sort of say, okay, here's what the player has, here's what his salary was last year. Here's what they're saying his salary is going to be. Here's the increase, and you know what's the recommendation? What should you do with the player? All this is kept in mind by the fact that we're going to have a new salary cap for 2022 for Dynasty Owner. Right now, it's anticipated to be $145.74 million. That's not set in stone. It's 70%. What it is set in stone is that it's 70% of whatever the NFL salary cap is. Right now, the NFL is saying that the salary cap will be a maximum of $208.2 million. Which would mean the Dynasty Owner salary cap would be that $145.74 million amount I talked about. So you can start planning for that amount, looking at the current salaries you have on the books, salaries of the players who have already been re-signed, and look at anticipated market values for some of the players you want to keep and see what you have left. You also need to budget money for rookies. We'll get into that much later on, but you can look. There's a link in the article to last year's article I did about that and projections for that. But without further ado, what we're going to talk about is we are going to talk about all those potential market values for some of these high salary quarterbacks and running backs. So let's get rid of these things and talk about that. So what we have here is we're just going to talk about the high salary quarterbacks and running backs. I anticipated doing all of them, but there are just too many. So we're just going to split it up into two. So first, we've got the guys who are anticipated to make around $10 million per year, which is interesting because it seems like all the players who should be getting more than that they're already all locked up. I mean, your Josh Allen's are locked up. Nick Chubb is locked up. If he sticks around, Tom Brady is locked up. I'm recording this with him still not being retired quite yet. But we do have one player who makes it almost to $10 million. We'll say around. We're maybe skirting it a little bit. And that's Cordarrelle Patterson. He finished the Dynasty Owner season as the 8th ranked running back. He's 30 already, which is a red flag. But his 2021 salary was only $3 million. SpotTrack has his market value at a little over $9.1 million. So his salary increase is going to be $6.142 million. And my recommendation is hold him for now. I mean, his value, I think, depends upon who signs him. If he re-signs with the Falcons and Arthur Smith, I think he might be worth that contract. If he averaged 18.3 Dynasty Owner fantasy points per game in the first 9 games of the season. I mean, he had a drop in the second half, but he was still averaging 11.5. Admittedly, that's a lot for $9 million a year, but if he averages 18, that's fine. But if he signs somewhere else, I'd be worried. I'm not sure. I mean, he could be a 1-year flash in the pan at 30 years old, and you'd be stuck with a $9 million salary. So I think he depends upon who signs him. But that's the only $10 million player. So now we've got a bunch of guys who are projected to get around $5 million per year. And the first one, I wanted to put him on this list, even though he doesn't have a listed market value, and that's Jameis Winston. I wanted a quarterback. He's one of the only ones available, unless it's for trade. And he was the 32nd ranked quarterback last year, but don't let that fool you. He only played 7 games, and he averaged 21.7 points per game in those 7 games. If he had played all season, 16 or 17 games, he would have been about the quarterback 10 or 12, and we'd be having a much different conversation here. But he didn't. He's 28. He hasn't played a full season since 2019 for Tampa Bay. And his salary last year was $5.5 million. Now his Spotrac salary market value is unknown, so we don't know what the increase is going to be, which is why I say hold for now. And a little different than Cordarrelle Patterson, I say his value depends upon who signs him and for how much. He re-signs with New Orleans at the same amount. That's great. If he gets a lot more and to go somewhere else, that's not as great. But unless it's a place here, he's probably going to be the starter, like if he goes to Pittsburgh or Denver. Now, if he signs somewhere and he's a clear backup, like he did when he signed with New Orleans when Drew Brees was there, then you pretty much have to get rid of him. But I don't think that's going to happen, but I would still hold for now. There's just too many wild variables out there to make a good decision right now. The next player who's probably projected to get around $5 million per year, and the top of the running back list here is Leonard Fournette. His Spotrac market value is $6.15 million. Last year, he was the 5th ranked running back in Dynasty Owner. He's 27. That increase is going to be about $2.9 million a year. And what's the recommendation for Fournette? I say keep him. Only trade if the offer is too good to pass up. I mean, productive running backs are hard to find in Dynasty Owner. I mean, they're out there and they don't cost that much, but they cost a lot of draft capital. You have to draft them really early, or you have to trade a ton away for them, like a Jonathan Taylor. You're just not going to find running backs in the top 5 making that little money. It's possible, but probably not. So I would keep Fournette if I had him. I mean, I could trade him if I got a great offer, but I think you're likely to keep him. He's been a top 10 running back for 2 different teams. I don't see a change of place impacting him as much as some other players. So, like I said, I'd probably keep him almost regardless. The next guy we're going to talk about here is the next projection. His market value is a little under $6 million. It's 5.976, and that's James Conner, who from Arizona, who is the running back 6. Is a year younger than Fournette at 26. But since he only made $1.75 million last year, his salary increase is $4.226 million. And with that, what I would say is keep him. You could trade him if you can get a good offer and have sufficient running back depth, or you think you could acquire additional running backs in the rookie draft. This is a little bit different than Fournette. I really think you should keep Fournette. I'm happy with keeping Conner if I don't think I can get anything better for that salary. So for that $6 million, I'd have to be able to get a couple of rookies in the rookie draft and hope one of them hits, or I'd have to have enough running backs that I want to spend that money elsewhere in terms of other positions. If I had that, then I could see trading Conner away. But one thing I feel like this year taught us in Dynasty Owners is that you need to have a lot of running backs. So that's why I would probably keep him and only trade him away if I had enough that I was comfortable with. The next player is we're going to talk about here is Conner's teammate from Arizona, and that's Chase Edmonds, who finished the season as the running back 33. He's even younger. He's 25. He's coming off his rookie salary, which is $728,000. Spotrac has his market value at $5,274,000, which means that's a big increase. That's a over $4.5 million increase for Edmonds. And so for that amount, if it's going to be that, what I say is trade him. And there's no caveats here. Trade him. I just think my reasoning for this is, he's never been the running back number 1 on his own team. $728,000 is great. It's a value. $5.2 million, not so much. He hasn't scored a lot of touchdowns. He's had a decent amount of touches. He's only scored 14 touchdowns. Arizona always seemed to find somebody else to be the touchdown guy. I don't know if that's because of Edmonds or something with Arizona, but I don't know if I want to wait and see if he becomes a running back number 1 touchdown guy on another team at $5 million. The other thing is that his contract, it's not here on the slide, but it's projected at 3 years. It's in the article. So that's an extra year. That's a little bit much. A lot of people say, you keep running backs on their first contract and then you get rid of them. And I agree with that in this scenario. And then the final guy we're going to talk about is one of my lesser favorites. And that's former New England Patriots, Sony Michel. He finished right around what Edmonds did. He was running back 31 this year at age 26. His salary was a lot more because he was a first round pick. It was a little over $2.4 million. And Spotrac's estimating that he's going to get a little bit over $5 million a year, which means you need to find $2.636 million more if you want to keep Sony Michel in your dynasty owner roster. And what I would say is trade him and take whatever you can get. Actually, the other part of that is I would trade him now. I think his value is at a high. He's still playing for the Rams. People are thinking about him. He could do something in the Super Bowl that makes him worth that much of money. But I don't think so. I mean, if Bill Belichick and the Patriots declined his 5th-year option, which would have been $4.52 million, that's good enough for me to say I don't need to pay him $5 million in Dynasty Owner. And, besides Bill Belichick's not recommendation, another reason is that he needs to run a lot. He averages 4.2 yards a carry. He doesn't catch passes. He's averaging less than 1 reception per game in his entire career. And he's pretty much been the same running back for like 4 years. I just don't see him changing, and doubling his salary is not going to make him a better value for me or for your dynasty owner team. So that's it. That's the list of players. Those are the high salary ones. Next week we'll talk about some guys who are anticipated to get lower salaries, at least lower than $5 million a year. So that'll be interesting to look at, see who those guys are and how much they're projected to be getting. So thanks for watching. Please read the article associated with this video. Please like the video if you've enjoyed the content. Please remember to tune in Wednesday at 4 to the Dynasty Owner live stream with me and Tim. We're going to talk about a lot of things. I'm not sure what yet. Probably the Super Bowl matchup, the AFC Championship, the NFC Championship games. Find out who Tim's going to root for. Is it the Bengals or is it OBJ? That'll be interesting to find out. And don't forget, we've got a lot of other Dynasty Owner content. Today's Monday. I'm recording this video. Tuesday, tomorrow, we got Jay Pounds. He's going to do rebuilding, and I think he's rebuilding one of my teams. That'll be interesting to find out what he thinks I should do. There's a lot. I'm not sure if that's going to be 1 or 2-parter because there's a lot to do. On Thursday, those of you who like rookies, got a lot of picks in the rookie draft. Look at read Nate Christian's article about a prospect preview, and then Free Agent Friday is when Matt the Jerk talks about all the free agents on the teams in one division, and he looks at this in it's a little bit different. What he does is he'll take a look at them by team and talk about the player. Not really provide recommendations, but he'll give you sort of the information that you need, what's going on. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Please read, please like. Appreciate it. Thanks for being a Dynasty Owner, and have a great day, everyone. Bye.